It's been really difficult, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Margaret Bates is no ordinary woman. She's the first person ever to contract a computer virus.
You're just not able to function because
She's gone on mute. It's uncontrollable. Just can't really do much about it. It just happens from time to time.
No. Then.
So she's glitching now. So it usually goes on to the glitching. So.
Yeah.
In this new documentary series, we will be following the life and struggles of people who have contracted unusual illnesses, such as hand-in-mouth disease and sloppy Giuseppe. You okay?
Yes. Please adjust the pop-ups. I tried to get on with life like it doesn't exist, but it's just really hard because I just keep losing my files and data.
How have you found it?
It's a bit difficult, but I'm getting used to the spam.
We thought about getting the antivirus software, but who wants to pay the yearly fees? She's just crashed again. Got to reboot her.
The Woman with a Computer Virus, this Sunday on Channel 6.
Hello and welcome to A Blessing in Disguise, the show that looks to bless you in a very unusual way. My name is Johnny.
And I'm Beth, and firstly we're just going to review the month. So the first thing that happened, obviously really huge, was Boris Johnson announced that schools were going to be back open on the 8th of March. This is how the students responded.
And this is how parents responded.
All schools and further education settings can safely return to face-to-face teaching.
And we know that the Queen has had her vaccine. Let's see how she responded.
And of course, we managed to get some footage of Mars, and we've got a sneak peek for you on the show now. So, our guests tonight are Jake and Sophie, who are joining us from Bournemouth. They're from Bournemouth, right?
I'm pretty sure they're from Poole. I think they live in Poole, but if you live in Poole, you're going to say that you live in Bournemouth because
Bournemouth is nicer.
Poole's done, isn't it? That's
Well,
it.
I was trying to be kind.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
saying that, Poole does have Splashdown, and Splashdown is amazing.
You're beautiful.
I took Beth there on a date once.
True story. True story. Anyway, enough about us. We've got Jake and Sophie coming in here for the interviews. That's really exciting.
Yeah. So, actually, as part of our interview, Beth and I got a little sneaky game for each other that Jake and Sophie are completely unaware of. And as part of that game, we've got to either get them to say a word or a phrase. If someone in the interview, they've got to say that word or phrase. Now, what that word or phrase is, for me, that I have to get them to say, is going to be chosen by Beth. And I'm choosing the phrase or word that Beth needs to get them to say, I'm choosing. So, and that phrase or word is, my baby's ugly.
Okay, so I'm going to get Jake and Sophie, or Jake or Sophie, to say that their newborn baby, their beautiful baby girl, is ugly.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I reckon I can do that.
I feel like I could, if I had to do it in my head, I reckon there's a way I could get to wangle that in, but but it's getting them to just say it.
So your phrase is goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. A general phrase used in any conversation. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
So without them knowing, you've got to get them to say that.
Yes, without like going, can you say goodness gracious, I can't do anything like that.
I think I'm going to win this.
I think you've got more of a chance. I think getting what I want them to say is going to be a bit, I don't know how I'm going to handle it, but I will.
Should we see how it goes?
Yes, so we're going to go over to Jake and Sophie now. So, hello, Jake and Sophie.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
It's great to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. So, what do you guys do?
Good question. So, we work for a church called Sunny Hill, and my role is overseeing Knots to 18s, which is our next gen department, kids and youth. Sophie, what do you do?
I help you with that a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm the better half of that situation. But I also work in a school. I work with special needs children and support them in primary school, which is great because you don't actually have to know a lot about like maths and stuff. I could just about handle like year 3 maths, so it's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I was going to say, so you said... Yeah, I know, part of the teacher crew. Jake, you said you're a youth pastor. What does that actually mean?
So we run like youth groups. We run like a weekend club. We run like a youth church on a Friday night. We run Zoom groups for young people to be able to connect and engage, read the Bible together. So yeah, we do lots of different things. My role is to oversee them on a Sunday morning as well. So make sure that everyone's safe under the age of 18. So there's a whole load of different range of things that I do as part of being a youth pastor. But yeah, I mean, every week feels a bit different, and particularly being in lockdown, it's been a bit different. But yeah, it's good.
That's really cool.
We've been like just the same. So we've watched our children watch some of the stuff that Jake and Sophie produce, and it's brilliant. So here's a few clips from the show.
Dimmi quando tu verrai. Dimmi quando.
So, where did you guys meet?
We met at a Bible college. It's basically like a miniature uni, I would say. You like live on site, you eat on site, you do your lectures on site, and basically, like after a few days, I texted my friend saying I'd met a hot ginge.
Whoa!
Take my breath away.
And Jake texted his friend saying I've met a weirdo.
Why did you call her a weirdo?
Well, the thing is my first, like when I first seen Sophie, she had she was wearing these trainers that she
Tom's nice shoes.
But at the time it just looked like she's drawn, like written and scribbled on her like shoes.
She's a super freak, she's super freaking now.
And apparently she paid to get this like thing done. It wasn't actually
It looked really
drawn on her
nice.
shoes.
Anyway.
But yeah.
And then after that, it was the rest was history, as they say.
Yeah.
Fell in love from
The
there.
hot ginge and the weird girl with the shoes.
So you guys have recently become parents to a little girl called Liberty, which I actually think is an awesome name.
It's a really
I
cool
really
name.
love that name when
Really
you
nice.
tell us guys. So how have you found being parents?
I mean, it's been good. It's been a learning process. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but it's been good. I think over lockdown, it's been a bit different. Normally, you'd be able to like kind of like
See your family.
see family and be able to like kind of have them like meet your newborn baby, but that hasn't happened yet. So it feels like we're kind of not quite there with kind of everything.
Yeah, I would say it's a really humbling experience that I didn't quite prepare for. Because I think pre-parenthood we knew everything, and then you get this baby in your arms, and they cry, and you're trying everything, and then everything works one day, and then you try the exact same thing the next day, and nothing works. So I think it's been quite humbling for us.
And I feel like sleep as well, the lack of sleep, just, I don't know, it makes everything feel more intense. The intensity of the house is like so much more. So, like, even making decisions about food, like, what do you want for dinner? It's like, I don't know, what do you want for dinner? Just because suddenly, like, you've like not had as much sleep as normal, so everything feels a little bit more. But she's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's really cute, isn't she?
She is.
Like seriously cute, really, really beautiful baby. Like, I mean, you must just like look at her.
She's really good.
Yeah.
You make it sound like parenting's awful. I'm sorry if we've just kind of put any of parenting right now.
Like we
Yeah, I was going to say,
we're
that,
still there.
I understand that idea of the baby, you think, oh, practice, and then they just change.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why are you doing this to me? Why don't you like me?
So, strange question, but is there any points in time where you think actually, like, is Liberty still like a beautiful baby even when she cries?
Yeah, let's go with yeah.
Yeah, she is still
She's cute. It's still a cute cry.
Yeah,
Still kick you
It's
out.
always going to be beautiful. Why would
Because
you
John,
ask?
I remember
What a
when
weird question.
No, I remember when we had Ralph, and like you'd be like, oh, he's quite an ugly crier, and you say that I'm quite an ugly crier.
I've got no comment to
So
say on
I'm
this.
just wondering, you know. So what have you been watching during lockdown? Like, what's the best series or what's the best film that you have seen during lockdown?
Oh, good question. Why do I have to go first?
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, so this girl watches so much Netflix, honestly.
What are you supposed to do when you're feeding your child? I mean,
the rate at which she can watch a whole series,
anyway,
honestly.
I watched the Australian version of Survivor, which is trash, but amazing.
Old school.
I watch a lot of trash. I've watched Cheer on Netflix, which is really good. A modern day documentary about an American cheerleading team.
Brilliant.
This sounds like up my street.
This sounds like the worst TV
How have
ever.
I missed
Don't
this?
worry.
It's taught me loads about leadership, about some injuries that I know I'll never get, but still.
Liberty watched that with you, and you're like, yes, girl power.
Yeah, she will be a cheerleader.
Yeah. Have you watched Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Yes. We're like, love
I watched that so quickly.
I think that's the best TV series
Yeah.
I've watched during lockdown.
100%.
Definitely.
Lovely.
I reckon
Jake's
so.
quoting it. It's quite sad.
I love it. And then, yeah.
I've got a weird. This is sort of a side question. Don't mind which one of you answer it. But if you had to describe a star to someone, what would you say to them?
A star.
What is a star? Yeah, like is in the sky.
Isn't it?
Like that thing in the sky, yeah?
Yeah, like those things in the sky.
Like a ball of fire?
Like a ball of fire. Yeah. I think that's a good. Isn't that? There's a song that sounds. What's that song? It's the big ball of fire. Isn't there a song called Big Ball of Fire?
Like
I'm expecting you to break out in song right now, Johnny.
Isn't there a song though called "We're Swimming with Big Ball of Fire"? Like goodness something big ball of fire.
I don't know.
I do know though in The Lion King that they say that the stars represent the kings that have gone before us.
But no one knows what you're on about.
No one knows what I'm on about,
about.
clearly.
Yeah.
Fine, I will move on.
I'm so confused right now.
Is that everything?
That is everything.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. We will join you again. We're just now going to jump over to the quiz section of our show.
We are called The Racer.
The Racer.
The Racer.
Cool.
The Racer! This is the show where we put our foot on the throttle and race to success. And tonight, racing for our first contestant is Ashley, all the way from London.
Hello.
and he is joining our Formula One racer, Ralph.
Let's hope your quiz skills aren't as weak as you look.
Now, before that flag flies and we start the race, let's just go over the rules. The first person to answer 5 correct questions wins. There'll be a maximum of 10 questions asked. At that point, whoever's answered the most correct questions wins the game. In order to answer a question, you need to make a noise. Ralph, what's your noise? Okay, and Ashley, what's your noise? Brilliant, so with no further ado, feet on the throttle, let's start the race! Okay, so the first question, feet on the throttle, into first gear. What's the name of the family who look after Paddington Bear? Raphael.
The Browns.
That is correct. Second question, what is SpongeBob's pet snail called?
I think that was Ashley.
I thought you were going to say his best friend. I know that one.
I'm going to have to pass that, Ashley.
I know the answer.
Raphael.
Gary!
That is the correct answer. Second point to Raphael.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were an adult.
Next question. In the classic film Jurassic Park, what animal is put into the T-Rex cage for it to eat?
Raphael.
A goat.
Yes, correct. Ashley, it'd be good if you start to play the game if possible.
Yeah, I know. All right.
And next, if you were to go to McDonald's today, what toy would you receive in your Happy Meal?
Raphael.
IBA Pop Trump.
That is correct.
Oh, God.
Your head is like my glass of water, empty.
You're clearly on a very bad diet. I blame your parents for that, Ralph. You should not know the answer to that question.
I would be hesitant about reflecting his parents' choices.
Next question. In the original Jumanji, what is the animal that comes out of the board first?
Raphael.
These flies.
Unfortunately, Raphael, that is incorrect. It passes to Ashley.
Oh, I've got no idea. Who's watching the original Jumanji? Come on.
I think cool people are. Okay, there is no points for either people. It goes to the next question.
Which artist painted the Haywain?
Raphael.
Ratty the Dot.
I think you might be trying to say Surat there, Ralph, but unfortunately that is the incorrect answer. You are looking for John Constable.
I'm a 6-year-old. I'm allowed to get something wrong.
You're not allowed to get things wrong that only a 6-year-old knows. After that.
Okay, the next question.
What country was Dr. Zeus born in?
Yes, Raphael.
France.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. It passes to Ashley.
Norway.
Unfortunately, that is also incorrect. It was America.
Okay, let's just establish Ralph is heading off into the lead on this race. He is close to the finishing line with 4 points. If he gets this question right, he is the winner of the race today.
And this is where the comeback begins.
In Monsters University, who is Mike Wazowski's roommate at the beginning?
It's Randall.
That is correct, Raphael Boxall. We announce you the winner of the racer! Is there anything you would like to finish to say to Ashley?
I always feel like an idiot. Idiot misses the point.
Ashley, we're afraid to say that you go home empty-handed, and Raphael, you win the top prize, the Kinder Egg.
Thank you all for watching, and good night, and see you next time at The Race.
Right, welcome back, and we're now going to go into our big question tonight. So this is the time where the audience get to pick a question for us that we discuss then with the people that we're interviewing, so Jake and Sophie. And the question that we are looking at tonight is, where is God in the coronavirus? So this is obviously a really big question. Yes, it's a big question.
So just your thoughts really in response to that, and for your first thoughts. So what's your first thoughts on that question?
Okay.
Go on.
There are so many thoughts. Such a good question. That is an interview technique. If you're wondering if you're trying to buy yourself time, just reply to the question. Compliment the question. Great question. Where is God in the coronavirus? That's a great question. I think that he is in us. So I think that, there's a lot of suffering and a lot of pain and a lot of hurt that's come out of the coronavirus. And actually that makes it quite difficult for us to associate God with that, because we don't often associate him with pain or suffering or hurt, or we don't want to. But actually I think God is in the midst of that. God associates with pain. He comes close to us in our suffering. And, we might know people that we've lost due to coronavirus, or people we've not seen, like Jake and I were sharing earlier. Jake's parents haven't actually met our daughter yet, and she's over 3 months old now. And that breaks our hearts a bit, doesn't it? And you think there's people in much worse situations that haven't seen their families for a lot longer than that. And I think it makes it really difficult. But I think there's times when we come together and we pray about it. And it sounds really airy-fairy just to go pray about it. But actually we find that when we have taken the time to speak to God about it, there's a peace that comes. In the Bible it talks about there's a peace that surpasses all understanding. And I think that's really applicable with the coronavirus, because it's really hard to understand that God can provide peace during the coronavirus, but actually he can. And I've found peace during it.
I think that's a really good point, like that God is with us in our suffering. I was doing some reading, and one thing that really struck me was this chap said, God came to earth in the form of Jesus, like Jesus became man to walk and experience that suffering. Like God knows what suffering feels like he was beaten up, he was abused,
Crucified.
he was crucified. And so I love the humanity of that. Actually God knows what suffering is like. He can empathize with us, he can walk with us through it. I think that's a really good point. Yeah. That's cool. How about you, Jake? Have you got some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that point about suffering is quite interesting, because where is God in the suffering is maybe another version of the question. Because like Sophie's been saying, coronavirus has been a real pain point for a lot of people, whether it's losing jobs, losing loved ones, uncertainty about the future, anxiety, fear about job, and even if people haven't lost their job, there's even been a real anxiety and anxiousness about whether or not they'll even have a job by the end of it and stuff. So pain is definitely been quite present in amongst the coronavirus. And I think that question about suffering is a big one, because either God is present in the suffering, or people have this idea that God is punishing us because of it, or maybe he's neglected us entirely. And I think probably I would hold on to the fact that he's really with us in amongst the suffering, in amongst the coronavirus. And it's a bit like an example that I was thinking about. It's not the best example, but it's a little bit of an example. Is pain can be precious if it's actually used in the right way. It can be helpful to us. So Liberty had her jabs this week, which was horrendous for us. And it was one of those moments where Sophie looked at me and was like, does she have to have the jab or can we just not do it? And I was like, okay, let's not do it, sort of thing. But in the long run, it was like actually needed to happen, sort of thing. But for her, she was going through that real painful moment in the hospital and like, like crying out, and we were like, yay, like fun times. But ultimately, as parents, we know that in the long run, for her safety, it's the best thing. And what God does with us in pain is He allows us to be able to reevaluate the things that really matter. And I think for a lot of people in the COVID season, they've reevaluated the things that really matter. They've reevaluated like their lifestyle choices, their work decisions, their family priorities. And it's been a real time for me personally where I've been able to reevaluate the things that really matter in terms of, church and family and stuff. So
it's not wasted.
It's not wasted time. I think we can see pain as precious in some ways because actually it helps us to be able to know the things that are really good for us going forward and using it to actually help us to better us for the future. So God is definitely present. He's in the midst of the coronavirus. And I think it's about us being able to use it. Maybe this could be an opportunity for us to become more generous. It could be an opportunity for us to become more grateful for the things that we do have. Talking about the fact that my family haven't met my daughter yet. One thing that I keep telling myself over and over is that when they do eventually meet her, it's going to be extra special. And I think that's the whole point of where I'm at the minute, is that kind of like just being grateful for the fact that one day, like when it does happen, I'll actually be more grateful than I ever would have been probably for the small things. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, so I was going to say, when you talk about like reevaluating, actually for a lot of people, they would have relied on their job, on their daily routines, on those seeing friends, seeing families, doing like those extra things. And actually, those things, coronavirus has proven that actually they can fall apart in an instant and disappear overnight. And for me, that's a real actually, what is the most consistent thing in my life that never changes? And actually, God, so it's really provided like a peace and a joy despite the difficulty of this situation. And I know that we are fortunate in comparison to some people. I do know that, and that's, I think, And
what I'd say as well is a good question that you asked earlier in the interview about what hobbies have you taken up. I think for a lot of people in that time of reevaluating stuff, they found themselves actually deciding what they want to do, even in their creativity. There's been a bit of a blank canvas for them to kind of get a fresh start. Talk about blank canvas.
I was going to say, someone trying to sell their blank too.
But in all seriousness, though, I think there has been a little bit of like creativity that's been unlocked in a lot of people. And I associate creativity from like being a real God thing. It's like, I just referenced the Bible really quickly. Like God's biggest display of creativity is in when when the Bible says that He created the universe and over creation time, spoke things into place. And I think that's that blank canvas. Like actually, in God, if there is a blank canvas given to us, it gives us that option to discern what the future looks like for us. So yeah, I don't know what the blank canvas holds for you guys or what it holds for other people, but for me, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think also you get to appreciate, like when we had coronavirus and we had it at the same time, and we had the kids at home because obviously they can't go anywhere, and that wasn't a great period of time. However, experiencing how generous other people were in dropping stuff off at the door for activities for the kids to do, in bringing us food.
We got so much stuff that we started wrapping it and giving it as Christmas presents.
Like, would you not?
From those people, not from us. We didn't just throw them in the Christmas stocking.
But it was, and it's like, Sophie, you mentioned like having a baby is like a humbling experience, but actually it was a really humbling time for us where we were like, even though something awful and tragic and not great is happening, like how God can utilize that to kind of as a megaphone to kind of like call out and to shine light on the stuff that is really good and the stuff that really matters, I think has been a valuable experience. So
just this, and I know this is going to be a difficult question, but if you had someone in front of you that has either experienced real sadness, like just like loneliness during the coronavirus, or actually it's experienced that someone that they've really close to them, they've lost. And they're like, where's God? What would you say to somebody who's experienced that?
So I think the cool thing is talking about that kind of like, God gives us an opportunity to come to him with our challenges and difficulties. Without God in the equation, it becomes just like a painful process that we have to kind of like journey on by ourselves. I think with God in the equation, it helps us to actually come to him with those areas of hurt or even feelings of frustration about the whole COVID thing. You know, I know some people that have maybe even like wanted to get married and haven't been able to get married over this time because of all the restrictions and funerals and all that kind of stuff that haven't been able to go ahead as they should have. But really, I think God's the kind of God that wants to kind of us to anchor into him. He doesn't want us to kind of like sweep our problems under the carpet and overlook them. But there's something special about the fact that we can lean into him. There's a Bible passage that just sprung to mind. Actually, it talks about it in 1 Peter. It says, "Cast your cares onto him, because he cares for you." And it's not like a kind of like God's like, "Oh, you've got more problems, send them my way." It's actually he has concern for us as children, as his children. So he wants us to kind of come to him with the baggage, with the worry, with the stress, with the frustration, with the anger and the bitterness. There's a place that we actually can go to with God in the equation. And that would be probably some of my response is go to God with those things.
I think specifically speaking to somebody who's feeling really lonely during this time is to get connected to a community, and the church is a great way to do that, even if you don't hold the same beliefs as them. Like a church has a community of people that offer you a friend when you need it. Like Beth was saying just then, it's a real humbling experience when you're going through a rough time and you've got people around you just to drop food, to drop a text, to watch something online that's a bit fun or a bit different. And I think church online at the moment has been a great way for me to feel connected, for you to feel connected. I know that there's like just texting our friends and family, you know, they're watching little snippets of bits of church and they wouldn't usually connect in with church on a Sunday, but actually having the access online makes them feel a bit more connected. I think just seeing a friendly face on screen. So I would say to the person that's feeling lonely, like this is the prime time to get involved in a church. Just drop someone a line, drop someone an email, and I'm sure that lonely feeling will go away pretty soon.
Yeah, that's cool. No, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for hosting us, guys.
I just want, before Jake and Sophie go, I just want to, as we've obviously gone through quite a deep conversation, so to finish it on a lighter note, I want to just share a piece of art that actually visual art that he created when he was announcing the birth of Jake and Sophie made when they announced the birth of their child. Now, I'm going to only show you a clip of this because it gave me nightmares. I think it was meant to be funny, but it was on the borderline, wasn't it? This is just a small little snippet of an piece of avant-garde.
Avant-garde is the word.
Here it is.
Put your hands up in the air, the hand in the air, on everybody sing now. Go, dance, what the
So that concludes our interview. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've got a really interesting or super question that you'd like to ask for us to look at in a future show, please put it in the comments below and we will look through and pick some for the future shows.
Yeah. So as the show is called The Blessing in the Skies, we just want to finish by blessing you. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.